Mrs. Kramer?
Here.
Mrs. Lane?
Here.
Mrs. Rich?
Here.
Mrs. Gallagher?
Here.
Mr. Kraftcheck?
Here.
Mr. Parzak?
Here.
The meeting is now open. Adequate notice of the meeting was provided by posting a copy of the time and place on the municipal clerk's bulletin board and mailing a copy of same to the press and the Cape May County Herald on January 4th, 2017. Will everyone please rise to salute the flag?
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to start the work session with public safety. Mr. Parzak.
Madam Mayor, Public Safety is a bit understaffed at the present time. We're going to start with the Court Administrator. We'll kick it off.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Debbie.
I have nothing to report again, so if you have questions for me,
That's a real letdown, Debbie.
I know. Every month, right?
It is.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you all. Hopefully, everybody has a safe one.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
I think due to the holiday week, we have several people that aren't in attendance. The Fire Department, just some items from our last Public Safety Committee meeting. The EMS stipend, I guess, is in its second month now, and appears to be a huge success so far as manning up the billets each night. He has more people now volunteering. In fact, he had said several people had come back that had left now, so we're in good shape there.
Right.
Good news.
He's keeping tracks on our fireboat, which is still missing in action, but is promised sometime in the near future, right? He has photographs of different stages of completion, so it is being worked on, and hopefully it'll arrive. He was hoping before the first of the year, so we'll see.
I thought he meant it was stolen. No, no. Karen thought it was stolen.
No, I spoke with Sandy Bisacco, the lifeguard captain, the beach patrol today. And as with the court administrator, he has nothing to pass on. It's kind of nothing going on right now, beach patrol.
Beach Patrol.
So I said there was no need for him to come. And with that, the rest of my half hour will be filled by Chief Shutta.
The bearded guy in the back.
No shave November.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I apologize for my attire. I just came from range qualifications just 2 minutes ago. So I'm
Don't
sorry for the
apologize.
informal
It looks good.
uniform.
I need it.
Yes. All went well, yes. The monthly report for October 2017 for the police department, there were 122 motor vehicle stops. There were 4 adults that were arrested, and the following officers attended training during the month of October. Detective Bartolone attended a DNA seminar. Officer Minatolo attended field officer training. Acting Sergeant Peters attended a training for first-line supervisors. And Detective Bartolone and Detective Sergeant Walker attended a domestic violence-related training. An update on personnel. Officers Dixon and McCouch are still at recruit training at the Cape May County Police Academy. They are expected to graduate in January of 18. Class 2 Hessler and Class 2 Cintron, which you had approved back in September to hang over past September, have since left. They obtained full-time positions with other agencies. So to fill their void, you guys were gracious enough to approve SLEO 2, Austin Rothman, to take at least one of their spots to help out with manpower. And we currently have 5 SLEO 2s slated to attend the Cape May County Police Academy recruit training for the winter for 2018. So that'll put us ahead of the curve for hiring in the spring. In terms of the building, on a building update on October 18th, the captain, administrative assistant, and I met with Mrs. Rich and Mrs. Gallagher to discuss just preliminary thoughts on furnishings for the proposed new building. And based on that meeting, on October 25th, we met with a furniture representative from a company called WS Golf. They're based out of Mays Landing. to discuss our needs for the proposed building that would fall under New Jersey state contract for furnishings and things like that. Following this meeting, we were provided with a schematic of the building, and he plotted desks, file cabinets, so on and so forth in that building, which we reviewed, and then we had some follow-up questions and clarification type things. So we actually just met with him yesterday and firmed some things up. I'm waiting a final quote from him, and then once we get that quote back, we'll request our decorating committee to come in to help pick out colors and things of that nature. And that's really it for the month of October. As always, we thank you for your continued support. We really, truly appreciate it, and I wish everyone and their families a happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Thanks,
Same
Chief.
to you.
We had, you had two thank you letters from constituents for
Yes.
Officer, I don't know how to say his name, Gary Garay,
Garay, Officer
and
Garay.
Bartolone,
Yes.
for services they provided to some of our constituents. Is this an appropriate time to talk about where we are with bids on the building, or do you want to hold that?
Yeah, we should probably wait relative to that
Okay, but it's in process.
in process.
Okay. Body cameras?
We
It's been a-
rolled them
It's been a
out.
week now?
It's been a week. It's a bit of an adjustment, but this is a good time to roll them out, I think. We rolled them out in June or July, which we really wanted to do. It's very, very involved, and with the summer and things like that at the same time, it would have been a nightmare. So this is a perfect time to roll them out, get the guys accustomed to them. It's highly regulated on when they have to be used, or when they should be used, when they shouldn't be used, so on and so forth. So we're good.
Good to go?
Mhm.
We also discussed at the committee meeting the blocking the beach access to vehicles when we have events or busy beach weekends. And Public Works, I believe, has worked it out with the chief on what you guys proposed to do.
Yes, we had met back in, Grant and I had met back in May or so, just to briefly touch on that idea, and Grant was fully committed to it. So we just met last month with Mrs. Goucher and Craig Reeves and Grant, and they had a design all sketched out. Seems to be a thing that's going to be very, very good.
We also talked about the possibility of installing cameras on some of the access points to Stone Harbor as a security issue, and we're getting some price estimates or cost estimates on those cameras. Jill, is that correct? Yes. That would help greatly, I understand, with investigations, should any need to be done, to review that film. And we're also going to look at an ordinance to regulate drone use on the island, and we'll be working on that. So I think that's it from the police department, unless you have any questions.
Question on the body cameras. When do they come on? Is it something you have to manually start?
Yes,
And there's
right,
just going to be a written order on when you hit it?
Oh, yeah, I think
Or like, or
I think
how-
our general order is 24 pages long.
Is it?
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
but once you get into the flow of things and the rhythm of it, it'll become second nature. It's just, as you know, police officers, they don't like change.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this is a significant change to their.
Do we have dash cameras? I
We
cannot
do.
remember. And now, do they come on as soon as you hit the red, as soon as you hit the lights, does the dash cam come on?
When you turn the lights on in the car, the dash cam.
Yes, the dash
comes
cam
on.
comes on, but there's nothing that's similar on the body camera
No,
when
you
it comes on.
manually have to hit that on, but we use the same company, so the body camera will link in with the dash cam video.
Okay,
So it's linked together, so at the end of every shift, or prior to the end of every shift, they have to go back and review every body cam video from start to finish to make sure there's not certain things that have been captured in that video, such as a juvenile. It has to
Wow,
be,
it's a
it
lot
has
of
to be
work.
tagged. There's a lot of parameters that are involved with it. So it's time consuming, but
yeah.
like I said, this was a perfect time of year. Although we would have liked to have them out earlier, in hindsight, this probably was, not by design, It was the best time to roll them out, so everyone gets accustomed to them.
Can you give us an
Thanks.
example, Chief, of a couple of the major things that you would tap that on for?
Every call you get sent to. As soon as you
Every
get sent to
call.
a service call, it's up to the officer if they want to click it on before they get out of the car or when they get out of the car. Every service call. Basically,
Matter
any citizen contact, but for, say I see you in the Wawa, they don't have to click it on that.
Okay.
But, you know what I mean? But if that contact starts going south, then they're instructed to click it on.
Just any simple call for assistance, anything
Anything.
whatsoever. You're going to get out of the car, you're going to turn it on, and it's going to start to record.
Lockouts,
Just
knock
as you never
box,
know when
everything.
something could.
Correct.
Lost dogs, skunks.
Any citizen contact.
Oh, citizen
Citizen.
contact. Okay.
Well, I mean, depending on the nature of that dog, if it's a rabid dog, they're clicking that thing on. You know what I mean?
It's interesting.
Okay. Thank you.
It'll only
So-
be helpful in the future, I think, for.
Just two more quick ones. And this involves Grant too, because we discussed that JT is not going to be here, evidently. He would have been here by now. So the infamous 3rd Avenue between 95th and 96th. At our meeting, Grant, that you couldn't make, JT had said that Public Works knew what needed to be done for those in-street signs and had that, added that to your plate as well as all the other things on your plate. Okay, so that's in process.
County approved, right? The county approved them?
Yes, JT had gone to the county, and they said whatever you do is okay with us as long as, what was it, as long as we put something in resolution form, or there was something, but he definitely cleared it with the county, and there is something we're going to have to do, but they're aware of what we're doing, and it was cleared. Yeah.
Security for this week's events, parade, but we're in good shape. You got a full
Fully
staff,
staffed.
good to
Fully
go.
staffed. Yep, yes, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving, Chief.
Thanks, Amy.
I think that's it from public safety, Mayor.
Thank you. Recreation and tourism.
Thank you. Miranda is here today.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello, Miranda.
Hello, and please also pardon my appearance. My head is also in a tilt-a-whirl, and I am full of dirt. So I don't have anything to report for the recreation side. We've just been in island holiday mode, so I just would like to note a few things for your calendars, and then other than that, I can just open it up to questions. So beach tags do go on sale starting this Friday. So the holiday beach tags will be on sale Friday, November 24th, 10 to 5, Saturday, November 25th from 10 to 5, Sunday, November 26th from 10 to 4. So they'll be on sale in Borough Hall all weekend long, so right downstairs. So we're continuing to set up the decorations for the town, but everything kicks off Friday morning for the Island Holiday Weekend in Stone Harbor. So as you've probably seen, the Waterworks Plaza has been turned into Bedford Falls since It's a Wonderful Life. And then the pet parade is on Friday at 1 p.m. if anybody would like to watch the pets on the 200 block of 96th Street, parade around. And then we have the tree lighting ceremony in front of the pallet tree, which is in front of Shades on 96th Street, will be at 6 p.m. And then the merchant hospitality night will be 6 to 9 p.m. Friday evening. Then on Saturday, November 25th, it's Small Business Saturday. So the Toys for Tots complimentary breakfast will be at the Women's Civic Club from 8:30 to 10 a.m. if anybody is able to make it. And then we start with the Downtown Holiday Dash at 10 a.m. where the kids start at the Women's Civic Club, dash to the bridge and back. So it's really cute to watch if anybody would like to stand on 96th Street and cheer them on. And
Can run with me.
can run with George Bailey.
George Bailey,
AKA.
everyone's welcome.
Yes. And then there's just a slew, if you guys have seen this breakdown of all the events, you can read through it and see what fun things are happening every single hour. But the biggie is our Christmas parade, which is 6:30 on Saturday night. So that parade's all the way down 3rd, turns on 96th Street, and then ends at the beach lot on 95th. So that's the parade route. So that, in a nutshell, is Island Holiday Weekend.
Okay.
I hope to be smiling Saturday night. Does anybody have questions about the weekend?
Nope.
Okay, so just beyond that, so save the date for the tree lighting ceremony. That will be the tree that's right in front of Borough Hall in the island. They're planting it as we speak. I think you put it in, right?
Yeah, I
It's
saw
in.
it this morning.
So that will be Wednesday, December 6th. So we'll carol on 2 trolleys. We'll meet in front of Borough Hall at 4:45 on the 6th. Carol for an hour along throughout town. Come back and then light the tree at 6 p.m. and then go to the firehouse right afterwards for hot cocoa and cookies. So that's the end of the 2017 events. That's the last of them.
And that's the last one.
Miranda,
That's the
while
last
all
one.
participants are here, do you want to mention exactly where council will meet and at what time on the night of the parade?
For the parade, ooh, I'm glad you asked, just because my plan now has changed, because Tim Brophy reminded me. So what we used last year, and if you guys are okay with it, we'll do the same thing. So at 5:30, if you can meet in the municipal lot behind the library, one of the public works drivers can pick you up in the school float. I think you did that last year, correct?
I remember we
No.
did it one year, but wasn't last year, but there was a year that we did all get on something.
Our memories are hazy
Yeah,
too.
somewhere.
Okay,
We met down at 111th or whatever it was last year.
but you'd all like to go together
I thought, yeah, I
down
thought
to
somewhere
lineup,
along, I
right?
thought
That's the
somebody drives us
easiest.
down, because
they
we're
did.
not, I don't remember how we got there, though.
Would you like to take the school float down there?
We went in the little cars,
Did we go on the golf carts last year?
Yeah, we drove from here, rather than having everybody to take their cars there, then we can't get back.
Right, either way, I have enough little gem cars and drivers, we can get you down there,
I
barring a
don't care how you
Durango's
get us
back.
down there, as
Yeah.
long as we could get down there.
So we'll get you down there, so regardless, with whatever transportation, meet at 5:30 behind
Right here. Okay.
the library, right in the municipal lot, and we'll get you down on the lineup, you're going to 111. So 111th Street will start the lineup,
Okay,
and then we'll parade you,
okay.
so 5:30.
What else? Anything else as far as the weekend? Anybody, questions?
No, just real quick, and it's silly, but on the application that we have for the grill demonstration, there's 2 different times. One's 10 to 4, one's 11 to 3. So I think if we say 10 to 4 for
That
that.
could be, I'm so sorry I didn't even bring it with, but I think they're demoing, actually,
Yeah,
I have it right in my lineup, so let's see
on the
what it
first
is.
page, it's 10.
So it's 11 to 3, but they don't set up they start setting up at 10
So the application should say
But-
10 o'clock to set up, and that goes to 4.
till breakdown. Right, so they'll be broken down by 4 PM.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
That's easy.
But when
Thank
they're
you.
actually
Time,
grilling
time.
is 11 to 3.
Got it.
Yeah,
I see that. I understand that now. I didn't.
yeah.
Yeah, they're saying it on page 4,
Yeah, and then the
setup
first-
and breakdown, so they have 10 to 4
Right.
on their
And
setup
then-
and breakdown, yeah.
yeah. So just to cover your butt, we'll say 10 to 4.
Yeah, 10 to 4.
Got it.
Okay.
If there are no other questions for Miranda,
Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
see you this week.
Okay, thanks, Miranda. Anything else for recreation and tourism?
No.
Nope. Natural resources.
Natural resources. Jill, do you want to say anything first, or let Lenore come up?
Good afternoon, everyone. I've got a short report for you on activities of natural resources, starting with the Clean Shores. Workers were at the sanctuary for almost 4.5 days, I guess is a good way to think about it, 2 weeks ago. That's the Department of NJDEP that helps us manage vegetation at the sanctuary. They work to clear invasive and aggressive vines, basically between 111th, just east of 3rd, up on the high area there. If you've driven by there, you know that's an area that's pretty heavily infested with some vines, and they basically cut the vines at the tree. They don't take them out of the tree, they just cut them about eye height and then at the ground level so that they die above, and then they cleared some of the understory brush and moved that out. This is this is part of the vegetation management plan that was approved, and we're just continuing to work through that. We are seeing progress. It's still a long way to go, but the areas where we've repetitively treated have, for the most part, flipped back over to native vegetation. There's a couple areas we're still working. This is the first time we'd gotten into that area to help with some of those trees. So Public Works did a great job helping organize that. There are things we need to do for the workers that come in and out, some food, toilet facilities, and managing dumpsters and things like that. So they did a great job with that, and also I want to thank them because we got out ahead of time. We planned it, and some of the Public Works guys were able to get out, and we mark. Some of these guys can be pretty clear-cut minded. They just take everything in sight, and we really don't want that because the idea to help native vegetation going is to leave it there, take the other stuff out so that vegetation gets a head start. So we go out and pre-mark saplings and things that we want to be able to stay. So there's a little bit of work on that to make it work well, and they were really great doing that. So that was done. There's outside chance we'll see them again in February for another day or so, or 2 days, just to continue that work. But pretty much it's off-season work after the birds are gone, and we're not disturbing any wildlife. Similar vein, levee maintenance at the sanctuary. I met with Public Works staff to review and discuss the plans for some of the maintenance that needs to be done on the levee. The levee is effectively the trail, the shell trail on 3rd. That actually separates, that trail is a levee. It's on top of the levee that separates the freshwater marsh to the north from the tidal marsh to the south. There's a little bit of work that needs to be done there. We're seeing some areas that need some work, but probably the bigger areas that we're starting to see slumping on the road edge side around the pipe that comes in to connect tidal flow under the road. So there's some work that needs to be done there. We're still talking through that. There's some planning going on there for work later in the fall that Public Works will be doing. I'm sure Grant will talk about that. So that work has been, the discussion part of how we're going to handle that and what we're going to do there is ongoing. The Bird Sanctuary Committee completed a bench inventory at the Bird Sanctuary. Sanctuary Committee member John Flynn, thank him. Big time. He went out, he borrowed some equipment from the Institute. He went out and got coordinates for everyone. He photographed every bench. He logged whose bench it was. Anyone want to guess how many benches are in the bird sanctuary?
Come on, guess.
20.
31.
Too many.
18.
52.
50. Wow, where are they all?
Yeah, well, here.
Ask and you shall
I thought that 32 seemed really
Ask
high.
and you shall receive.
And you can get at all them? People can get at these?
Yeah.
Sure. So anyway, so the question was whether we needed to, what we're going to do, thinking about that, the condition of some of them, a couple of them have some broken slats and, things like that. But the first step was how many, where are they, whose benches are they, and all of that. So we now have that information put together. We're working on a few details, and that'll be a committee topic for the upcoming Bird Sanctuary Committee, which will be in the first week of December. And they're going to look at that and think about if there's recommendations we need to make about that. But the first
Do they all match, all those benches?
Pretty close. They're all, I think they do.
There was
They're
like one
teak.
approved bench and they've all stuck with
Yeah,
that?
they stuck with it. It's not a hodgepodge.
And it's teak, right?
They're teak.
It's all those same ones that you see out front that you
Yes.
That's
can
right,
plainly
that's right.
see.
That's correct. When you
all
walk
the same.
around the edge, you see them. So they're there, and so don't know if there's going to be any changes or any thoughts to that, but the first idea was, so people are saying some of them are looking a little bit, more worn and weathered. They're growing lichens, but hey, it's what they do.
Yeah.
So anyway, there are a lot of benches out in the sanctuary.
It is a lot.
Josie?
Well, Lenore has show and tell. She handed me a certificate of appreciation, and she can explain it much better than I can, but it's for the Monarch Garden. And this is the reason we have the Monarch Garden. So we get to put this up, and then I'm going to pass these around. Create, conserve, and protect monarchs. And how did we get this?
So the good news is the sanctuary gardens near the pump house and the new meadow garden are now officially sanctioned Monarch Way stations. They met certain criteria. They're part of an international registry for North America. They're numbered, and that's what those certificates are about. So they're there as part of that. And as part of that then, because there's other work going on, they're part of the Monarch tagging system. They're registered sites. And then we have small signs, Ray, very small signs. I'm sorry, that go on those sites that just help with the educational awareness of it. And I am, as I mentioned before, pretty impressed with the awareness that people have of those sites and just coming up to us. So those will be installed at some point by Public Works when they get around to it at both of those areas. So that's kind of neat. It's been a little bit of time to get that done and taken care of, but that is
So,
done.
since we have time today, Sue just asked me the question, how do they tag a monarch?
Carefully. No, actually, you'd be surprised. They are way more rugged than you think. You catch them first, which is sometimes easy, sometimes not so much. You can use a net when they're actively feeding and really intense. You can just walk up to them and hold them. They, most of you are familiar with when you touch a butterfly or a moth, you get that powder on your hands, and that's really bad. Well, it turns out that is bad, but not really for monarchs so much. They actually have scales more than powder on their wings. Their wings are not living, so you're not hurting them the way you are with other animals, and they're really, really rigid. I mean, that's, when you think about how far they fly, they need to be. So you basically just clean off a little area with your finger to move the scales off, and anyone that's doing any tagging, it's a very organized system. So this group that's mentioned on that sign in Kansas, they are the purveyors of all monarch tags for entire North America. So they're the ones that manage it, and we actually get tags from them that are registered. They're numbered, they have a code on them, and they look like little Avery dots, you know? I mean, they're about that big, and ours are white. The ones that we're doing in Stone Harbor and in this part of Cape May, our stuff have a half green because we're trying to figure out how they go, and you just basically stick it on, hold it there for a minute.
So it sticks on.
Sticks right on, and then you let them go. And there's rules about the weight of the tag or band. Same thing with bands, has to be less than a tenth of the body weight of whatever it is you're tagging, so you're not weighing, it'd be bad if you weighed them down or anything. So all that's part of the thinking on this. And I told you last year we had tags that from the Institute showed up in Mexico and were recited in Mexico, which is pretty cool when you think.
Yeah.
So it's cool. We also raise them at the Institute as well. We rear caterpillars there with eggs and then raise them in-house, and then we tag those are a lot easier because you've got them.
And there's two different certificates, so the two different
There's two different
locations.
registries, yeah, there's two different sites. The sanctuary by the pump house is one site, and then the meadow is the second site.
So that little sticker never comes off in weather or rain?
No, so those, no, but they're pretty, the ones that leave here will go to, they're presumably in Mexico by now, or they're not getting there. And they'll hibernate from now until early February, and then they'll move back to about the Mexico-US border, and they'll mate, lay eggs, and then die. So we're only trying to get them from September to February. It's not like they need to be particularly long-lived. And those are the only ones that are being tagged to track movements of individuals.
Cool.
It's cool. If you are around in the fall, they're at the Institute, the tags are there, and we do tagging demos and demonstrations. It's something to see. A couple of you have walked in meetings and been like, you gotta come downstairs and see this, because it's pretty cool.
Wouldn't it be nice if you could invite the school children and maybe in small groups and teach them how, or show them how you tag a butterfly?
We have programs with the schools. I can't say for sure that this group does so, but they probably do, because we have afternoon programs with them, and I'm pretty sure that'll be something that they would do in that
I think they'd
timeframe.
find it fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would.
It's cool. It's neat, and we did have a really good showing of monarchs at both of those sites this year. So, and this was a really good year. This was the best year for monarchs since 2012. So it's still low historically, but it was a good year. Any other monarch?
Any other butterfly questions?
No more monarch questions?
No more
Any?
monarch. Okay, two more topics here. The dune vegetation management plan related to the Japanese black pine. Lomax Consulting submitted a proposal to assess the area between 80th and 83rd, and that's one of the areas that came up as heavily infested with Japanese black pine. So they submitted a proposal for just an assessment and creating a plan, what that would take if there was action to move there. And Natural Resources now, I guess, is contacting area residents to see if there's any interest for the residents to pick up that project or seeking a partner in that project. So that's in the thinking through stage right now, but there is a proposal in hand from Lomax for what it would take to move that along. The beach sweep was October 21st, finally got a nice day. I guess last time I was here was that following weekend. They had 40 people turned out to help with trash removal on the beaches and in the dunes. That's the only day we kind of go in the dunes. I've got some of the totals. They retrieved more than 1,087 pieces of plastic, 43 glass, 43 rubber balloons kind of stuff, 154 pieces of metal, 165 pieces of paper, 56 pieces of wood, and 89 pieces of cloth. So kind of a pretty good haul. Comments were it was actually not as bad out there as it had seen before, and it's kind of a timing thing when you had the last big water event or wind event, get stuff out there. So, and thanks to those of you that participated. I know Ray was out helping out. It's a good push, and that happens statewide through Clean Youth in Action to manage that. And then the last thing is talking about ghost traps. We talked briefly about it the last time. These are derelict, lost recreational or commercial crab traps that end up, for some reason, they stay in the water, whether the rope was cut, the line was cut, the buoys were lost, or whatever happens, they're out there. They continue to fish because the bait that's in there attracts animals into it. Those animals die if there's no one maintaining the trap, and it's just a kind of a continual fishing cycle. So the Institute's doing some work to try to retrieve those traps. That work can only be done from December 15th till March 15th, which is not exactly a pleasant time to be out in small open boats. And we have limited manpower and boat power. So the idea was to try to work on a public education campaign, see if we can get some volunteers that would help us. It's pretty organized. It's heavily permitted and managed activity. So we had a meeting with the mayor and council members Parsik and Rich to just talk about ideas about how we could tap into folks that have boats that are around that might be amenable to helping on this project. We got some great contacts, some great ideas, and we're working on a kind of a plan for how to do that. But the idea is we'll have a couple of public education meetings to talk to folks. First of all, making people aware of it. Citing them is hard, so if people see them, to understand that letting us know where they are is kind of a really good, a big help to us, and then potentially volunteering to work with us on a couple of days to get out and retrieve some traps. So we're in planning stages at this time, but it was helpful to have that meeting, and we'll keep moving forward.
Do you think you'll have an educational seminar soon, before the 15th of December, or what's your kind of plan at this point?
I'm thinking not. We've got 3 proposals we're trying to get.
Okay,
So
okay.
thinking-
And I did speak to Middle Township's
Yes.
mayor,
Yep.
and said, that we're thinking that our waters here are the Avalon, Stone Harbor, and Middle.
Yep.
And I said, once we get going, will you help us push information out? And he's on board to help get the information out once we figure out a plan.
Exactly what it is, yeah.
Yeah, yep.
We had a meeting on a follow-up yesterday, actually, with New Jersey DEP came to us, and they're actually going to help pull traps in Delaware Bay, which we hadn't had
Wow.
any access to that. So that was yesterday's meeting with their boats and their folks, but we got to, assist. So that's a big deal.
That's good.
So we're moving along. We're in that planning mode. As soon as we clear the next, the 30th is kind of a big time, and then we'll start moving on.
Okay.
So I appreciate the help. Any other questions, thoughts?
Any questions for Lenore?
One of the comments on that beach sweep day, that I don't know if it ever made it to your ears or not, was one family said that there are other beach communities in the state where they have adopt-a-beach programs, like you have adopt-a-road program, and they were asking me why we don't have that in Stone Harbor. And I said, I'll get back to you later.
Why don't you have that in
I don't know.
That's not my question, man.
Why don't we have
I
that?
don't
in-
know.
Why don't you have
Is
that? Yeah, you certainly could. I mean,
The other question we got was, why don't we do the dune grass planting like Avalon?
That's right.
That was the other question we got. Why don't you guys do that?
you've done it
Why
a
don't we,
couple times,
Lenore? You
right?
got that answer too?
Well,
You've got contractors that do it, right?
we have
And that's-
contractors to do it.
Yeah,
you
that
have
was the other
contractors.
question. then.
that's what
We-
we told them, I think,
Yeah.
right? That it
Part
is
of-
done, it's just not a
Yeah, it's
public
just not
event.
done through a volunteer initiative.
Yeah.
But everybody did say the same thing too, that the beach just seemed way cleaner than years past.
Yeah, that's,
Way,
That's
but you're
awesome.
saying that just
It's-
because
it's
a
timing.
tide came in and washed it out.
or you didn't have the big onshore, right after big storms, right? That's when
Nowhere
all the
along the
trash
line,
washes
people
in.
get educated and just do the right thing, and
Oh, yeah,
somewhere
they
along the
do,
line
but
it
it's
catches
still-
on.
It still moves around, but that's the thing, it's the timing of when it moves in and out, so. But I'd
Well,
love
we-
to think it was being,
That people are actually learning and listening, maybe.
the problem, I mean, I'm gonna say this, and you guys can do what you want, because it's Thanksgiving, and, a lot of the trash I see in the sanctuary and in the dunes comes from open construction dumpsters. It blows all over the place, so
Yeah.
there you have it. I said it. I mean, that's a
maybe
big,
they're-
it's a big problem.
They can't pick it up.
Because
right.
they're doing their job, they think they're, they're managing it, they're putting in the dumpsters, and then it just blows all over the place from the, I mean, wind is a weather event here, right? I didn't know that until I moved here.
We have an ordinance, they have to be covered.
Yeah, the wind
We
just,
do.
right, you're right, it just doesn't stop.
But they're
All
not,
winter
I've,
long.
I've not seen a covered dumpster. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're there.
You
I
will
just
now.
haven't seen them.
What, covered?
Yeah.
Oh, they're all covered, the ones I see in my area. All of them.
Okay.
And the police usually down at the point find like some stuff, and there was nothing down there.
Yeah.
Like this, random big pieces
Big
of
stuff,
something,
yeah.
and there was nothing there. They were a little disappointed they didn't find any good trash.
Well, this
We'd like to keep it that.
They were disappointed.
Yeah.
This program was started many years ago when it was the POA with
And that's who helped
with
coordinate it.
council and residents.
Yeah,
that
and that's
started
who did this time
cleaning
too.
the beaches.
Yeah,
And it's supposed to
Chapoa
be
was the
POA.
coordinator there.
It's a
Yeah.
collaboration between the borough, the SHPOA, and the Wetlands Institute have been doing it over the years.
And it's statewide.
It's statewide, it's
the
Clean
da-
Ocean
It's the
Action,
day
it's yep,
established that everybody can
beaches,
do
and
it.
every community that they can get, basically, there's a beach captain, and that was POA,
Then that was
beach
the
captain,
Brett.
yeah, and helped out, that was Brett.
And I see a lot of individuals, myself included, pick up trash.
Sure.
So
Yep.
there is, maybe that's why there's not so much trash, because there are individuals that'll go by and
Yeah.
pick it up and put
Well,
it in.
we also rake the beach.
And we rake the
Right.
beach.
Yes, we
Yes,
do.
we do.
But haven't we always? So, I mean, what we're saying is this year seemed cleaner.
That's good.
Well,
I
we
have
had-
faith
we
in
had ex-
mankind, and they're listening.
We had extra, we implemented extra trash collections.
Well, maybe
This
that did it
summer.
too, as we thought the
And-
Grant, maybe the 5 o'clock pickup
Right.
made a difference in why the beach cleanup didn't have as much.
That all factors in, I mean, obviously.
That could
there's less
definitely, 'cause
material
that's
out there to
blowing
move
in.
around, and all of it's good, all of it's positive. The more you can keep trash out of the marine environment, the better for all animals and people. Okay, thank you. and
Thank
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want to add, Jill? No? We are.
Stockton survey of the bulkhead?
Still waiting for the actual data. I know he was finishing up identifying the lagoon, so I was hoping to get it this week, but so far I have not gotten it.
Okay.
I've actually done all the data. I just need the physical report from him.
And how about, there was going to be the drone checking out the point, and then there was some discussion on maybe that not being a good idea. Did anything ever happen there? Do you remember?
Yes.
Eleanor's nodding her head.
Well, they did coordinate with Fish and Wildlife on
And
using.
they were doing a beach survey.
Yeah.
Have we gotten anything back from that, or is that just?
Have you gotten anything from them?
It takes a little while once they do it to process it all and map it all out, but he did have, that's a new thing, using the drones is a new component, and the Endangered and Invasive Species Program was actually out on site documenting if there is a disturbance. So they're
Is that how you ended up reconciling the use of the drone, is they were there on site at the time? Okay, okay.
there monitoring what he was doing, and I'm assuming because they have questions, and they'll be the ones to decide if that's an appropriate use.
And there was a news release that the federal government is coming out with some constrictions on drones. So, because they've gotten out of hand with maybe carrying nuclear or something else. So what they had said was that they want them tethered. I don't know how that could possibly be. But it would be so that they couldn't fly over everything. So you have to be careful when we're contemplating a drone ordinance, really what has to go into it. Maybe somebody should try to research that before we go further with it.
Jill's on it.
I'm on it.
Anything else for natural resources?
I think that's it.
We have nothing
Thank you.
for discussion, so we're going to adjourn early. That's the first. Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You didn't have a second?
Nobody gave me a second?
Second. Yeah.
All in favor? Opposed? Adjourned.